because it seems like that we're going in the same direction that we went in the past.
To start this company, we need to get some structure so we don't...
Imagine a man who turned steel and horsepower into a multi-million-dollar empire, only to watch it teeter on the edge of ruin. Paul Teutul Sr., the grizzled king of Orange County choppers, has a secret so staggering it's been buried under decades of chrome and chaos. What if everything you thought you knew about his American chopper glory was just the surface of a deeper, wilder story? From a jaw-dropping bankruptcy to a family feud that erupted on live TV, Paul's been hiding a roller coaster of triumphs and tumbles that'll leave you reeling. Did he really lose it all? Or is he gearing up for the comeback of a lifetime? Buckle up, because this isn't just a tale of bikes and brawls, it's a twist-filled ride into the heart of a legend, and you won't believe where it's headed next. Picture this: a kid from Yonkers, New York, born May 1st, 1949, growing up in Pearl River where home wasn't a refuge, it was a storm. His mom wrestled with alcoholism, while his dad wielded a cat o' nine tails, a whip that stung more than it guided. Chaos ruled the house, yelling, tension, a constant emotional churn. For young Paul, safety was a pipe dream. But then he found something that roared louder than the fights: motorcycles. The rumble of an engine wasn't just noise, it was freedom, a ticket out of the mess. That spark of rebellion didn't just save him, it lit the fuse for everything he'd become. By 18, Paul was done with the turmoil. He signed up with the Merchant Marine during the Vietnam War era, not dodging bullets, but hauling supplies and ammo to troops overseas. It wasn't frontline action, but it was a front-row seat to a world bigger than his pain. The gig hammered discipline into him, gave him space to think, and left echoes he'd carry for years. Back home, he'd kick back with biker flicks like The Wild One and Easy Rider. Movies that weren't just entertainment, but blueprints for a life untamed. Those choppers on screen? They were defiance on wheels, and Paul was hooked. He didn't just want to ride. He wanted to build that freedom from the ground up. Then came 1972, when Paul tied the knot with Paula Leonardo, his high school sweetheart. Sounds like a fresh start, right? Not quite, because addiction was already clawing at him. The ghosts of his childhood didn't fade. They fueled a reliance on booze and drugs to numb the ache. Paula stuck with him, even as the cracks widened. By 1985, Paul was 35 and falling apart. Blackouts, wrecked cars piling up, his body screaming for a break. He'd trashed over a dozen vehicles, watched friends lose everything to the same demons, and felt the edge creeping closer. January 7th, 1985, changed it all. He hit the bottom and clawed his way out. Promising Paula he'd fight, he skipped rehab for Alcoholics Anonymous, showing up every week for 9 years straight. That grit didn't just save his life, it rebuilt it. While battling his demons, Paul was forging an empire. In 1973, he launched Hall's Welding in Orange County, New York, armed with a pickup and a lone Hobart welder. Small gigs, fixing farm gear, patching steel, turned into a steady rep. Through the 70s and 80s, he scaled up, moving into a 7,000-square-foot warehouse in Rock Tavern and rebranding as Orange County Iron. It wasn't just a shop anymore, it was a full-on steel fabrication outfit, cranking out structural beams and custom ironwork. But motorcycles stayed his heartbeat. He snagged a 1971 Triumph Bonneville, then a Harley Superglide he still rides today. What started as a side hustle, tinkering with bike parts, snuck into his business, hinting at the chopper king he'd become. The 90s brought his sons, Dan, Paul Jr., and Mikey, into the fold, and the bike bug spread. By 1998, Orange County iron was booming, so Paul doubled down, snapping up a 10,000-square-foot spot in New Windsor. Running two sites 20 minutes apart sounded brilliant, until it wasn't. No smartphones, no instant fixes. Just chaos. Misplaced materials, duplicated jobs, endless delays. Paul was ping-ponging between shops, barely keeping it together. But in that mess, he carved out a corner for bikes, an escape that turned into destiny. Down in his Montgomery basement, he started crafting choppers, laying the groundwork for Orange County choppers. That little spark? It was about to ignite something massive. Fast forward to 2018, and Paul's empire hit a wall. Chapter 13. Bankruptcy papers showed $1 million in debt against $1.8 million in assets. A razor-thin edge. His Montgomery mansion, once a trophy of triumph, faced foreclosure, with back taxes piling up. Lawsuits crashed in, including one from a former partner claiming Paul mishandled cash. The guy who'd built a fortune on steel and horsepower was scrambling. Yet, he didn't fold. He uprooted Orange County choppers to Florida, launching the OCC Roadhouse and Museum, a fresh chapter fueled by the same passion that pulled him out of Yonkers. At 75, he's still wrenching, still riding, still proving he's tougher than the setbacks. Paul's life isn't all grit and gears, though. Luxury's been part of the ride. Think a garage stuffed with classics like that Harley Superglide, paired with a taste for high-end watches that scream craftsmanship. Real estate. That Montgomery pad was a 38-acre beast with a pool and guest house before the financial storm hit. Business-wise, Orange County Choppers wasn't just a shop, it was a brand, with TV deals and merch raking in millions at its peak. Insurance? He's had to cover it all. Health plans for the rough years, asset protection for the toys, career policies when American Chopper made him a star. The lesson? Build big, but brace for the fall. Paul's spending taught him wealth can vanish faster than it comes. Compare that to Richard Rawlings, the fast and loud hotshot who's also spilling secrets. At 55, he's facing a $6 million lawsuit that booted him from his own gas monkey bar and grill. Plus, messy splits from 3 ex-wives that drained his millions. Once a Discovery Channel darling, he's now airing dirty laundry about those days. Both guys rode high, Paul with choppers, Richard with hot rods. But their past glories, TV fame, packed garages, slam against today's struggles, lawsuits, lost cash. Paul's still building, Richard's still confessing. Their journeys, wild rides with pit stops of pain. And they're not done yet. That summer, True Blue was nearly ready, and Paul knew it was special, something that could stop traffic and steal breaths. He hauled it out of his basement, fine-tuned it in a corner of his steel shop, and aimed for Daytona Biketoberfest in October 1999. The crowd's reaction? Electric. Heads turned, jaws dropped, and offers rolled in faster than he could process. Right there, under the Florida sun, Paul saw it. His future wasn't in steel beams. It was in horsepower and heart. So he made a move that'd rewrite his story. He handed Orange County Iron to his son Dan, a steady hand who'd been in the trenches with him. Dan didn't just take over. He transformed it, rebranding it Orange County Iron Works and launching Gabriel steel erectors to streamline the chaos Paul had left behind. With that weight off his shoulders, Paul dove headfirst into bikes, founding Orange County Choppers in '99 with Paul Jr. as his right-hand man. What happened next was pure lightning. Paul Jr., a fabrication wizard from his days running the rail shop, brought grit and vision to the table. They figured they'd crank out a few bikes a year. Small potatoes, right? Wrong. Biketoberfest flipped the script, and suddenly, they weren't just builders. They were dream makers. Enter Discovery Channel, fresh off Monster Garage with Jesse James, hunting for their next big thing. They didn't just find bikes with the Teutul's, they found fireworks. American Chopper hit screens on September 29th, 2002, kicking off with the jet bike for Laconia Bike Week. But the real fuel, Paul and Paul Jr.'s unfiltered clashes, raw, loud, and real. Viewers ate it up, and the pilot's ratings soared, locking in 27 more episodes by March 31st, 2003. Overnight, Paul went from local legend to national icon, a grizzled everyman with a wrench and a temper. Fame hit like a freight train. By 2004, OCC landed a Super Bowl ad for AOL. Talk about peak glow. Orders flooded in from across the globe, and the money followed. Paul's net worth, barely a blip in the 90s, ballooned into the millions as American Chopper turned choppers into a lifestyle. His luxury game leveled up too. Think a garage packed with rides like a Dodge Viper alongside his trusty Harley Superglide, and a wrist-flashing Rolex vibes. Real estate? His Montgomery estate was a 38-acre kingdom, bought in his Steel days and upgraded with TV cash. Private jets weren't his thing, but the OCC brand soared. Merch, deals with NASA, custom builds for Caterpillar. Insurance kept it all safe. Health plans for the grind, asset coverage for the toys, business policies for the empire. The lesson? Ride the wave, but lock it down. Paul's wealth spiked fast, and he learned to protect it. But here's the kicker. Fame didn't smooth the cracks. It widened them. Paul Sr.'s intensity clashed with Paul Jr.'s free spirit, and those fights weren't just for show. By 2007, American Chopper jumped to TLC, chasing a bigger audience as the network pivoted to high-stakes reality. The move paid off, ratings held strong, and OCC morphed into a merchandising machine. Branded gear, toy bikes, you name it. Fans fretted over the switch, but TLC's polish kept the builds slick and the drama sharper than ever. Paul's net worth peaked around $10 million then, with projections climbing if the brand kept rolling. His real estate empire? That Montgomery gem, plus a Florida spot later, totaled millions in value. Proof he'd built more than bikes. Yet, beneath the shine, trouble brewed. The father-son rift deepened. Paul Sr. barking orders, Paul Jr. pushing back. September 28, 2008, was the breaking point. Cameras caught it all. A workday spiraling into a shouting match over late starts and responsibility. Voices boomed, tempers flared, and the tension that had been simmering for years erupted. It wasn't just a spat. It was a fracture threatening to split OCC apart. Compare that to Richard Rawlings, still reeling from his $6 million lawsuit and ex-wife fallout. Both men ruled TV, Paul with choppers, Richard with cars, but now faced storms. Paul's past as a steel baron and TV star towered over a present teetering on family feuds and financial tightropes. What's next for this dynasty? Hang on, because the ride's about to get bumpier. The tension didn't just simmer, it ignited a TV phenomenon. Discovery Channel pounced, launching American Chopper, Senior vs. Junior, on August 12, 2010, turning a family feud into a high-octane build-off. OCC stuck to its roots, big, bold, classic vibes, while PJD leaned into sleek, modern edge. Every episode was a showdown, bikes battling for glory. But the real hook? The raw, unfiltered rift between father and son. Specials, like A Family Divided on November 29, 2010, peeled back the layers. Mikey, the youngest Teutul, stuck in the middle, spilling how heavy it all felt. Paul Jr. wasn't just building choppers, he was carving out his own lane, free from Senior's shadow. By 2012, PJD Studios kicked off, branching into logos and branding, proof Jr.'s vision stretched way beyond the garage. Meanwhile, Paul Sr.'s personal life was shifting gears. Back in 2007, at American Chopper's peak, he married Beth Dillon, a calm anchor in his stormy sea. With OCC raking in millions and his face plastered across America, Beth's quiet strength softened his rough edges on screen. She'd raised 2 kids from a 15-year marriage before stepping into Paul's whirlwind of fame and horsepower. But that stability? It crumbled. By 2015, after 8 years, they split, right as Paul's new chapter with Joan Bulger-Kay revved up. Joan wasn't just a partner. She grabbed the reins as OCC's CEO, steering it through choppy waters. Their shared love for animal rescue added heart to the hustle. But wait, there's a curveball coming that'll leave you reeling. Legal papers from 2015 dropped a bombshell. Paul had inked a shady deal with a dog food company, trading promo for supplies meant for Joan's rescue work. It skirted the rules, sparking whispers of mismanagement, especially as American Chopper's reboot floundered. Cash meant for production allegedly went AWOL, piling pressure on a man already juggling too much. His kids painted the bigger picture. Paul Jr.'s 2008 firing wasn't a one-off. It was a decade-long silence, only thawing slightly in 2018's reboot. Mikey played the peacemaker, a chill contrast to the chaos, while Kristen dodged the spotlight as a nurse. Daniel? He took Orange County Ironworks and ran it his way, separate from the Chopper circus. Paul Sr.'s a man of extremes: tough love, big dreams, and a family stretched thin. By 2019, Paul was staring down some brutal years. The guy who'd built a $10 million empire at OCC's height was now clawing back from a 2018 bankruptcy that slashed his worth to $500,000. That Montgomery estate, once a 38-acre crown jewel, was a memory, swapped for a Florida fresh start with the OCC Roadhouse. His luxury stash? Still rocking that Harley Superglide, a Dodge Viper in the mix, and a taste for rugged watches. No private jets, but the man's lived loud. Joan's leadership pushed OCC into digital builds and new projects, keeping the flame alive. Financially, he's a cautionary tale. Peak big, but plan smart. Future projections? If Florida pans out, he could climb back toward millions. Resilience is his fuel. Compare that to Richard Rawlings, still untangling his own mess. His fast and loud glory days, millions in the bank, a Dallas empire, slammed into a $6 million lawsuit and ex-wife drama. Both men owned their lanes, Paul with choppers, Richard with hot rods, but their pasts, TV fame, packed garages, now wrestle with present storms, legal woes, cash crunches. Paul's fighting to rebuild, Richard's confessing to survive. Their journeys? Epic climbs with brutal dips, proving legends don't fade, they adapt. What's Paul hiding next? Stick around. This saga's got more horsepower to unleash. Paul Sr.'s story is a wild ride of grit and grind. From a Yonkers kid to a Chopper king, he's weathered family wars, financial hits, and personal pivots. That dog food deal? A misstep in a life full of bold swings. His impact on bikes, TV, and his kids still rumbles. Got a hot take on where Paul's headed? Drop it below. The man's not done surprising us yet. Paul Teutul Sr.'s saga was barreling toward a crossroads. And the stakes couldn't get higher. By 2019, the man who'd roared into America's living rooms was grappling with a financial nosedive that'd make your heart race. His 38-acre Montgomery estate, once a symbol of chopper-fueled triumph, slipped into foreclosure, a gut-wrenching fall from grace. This wasn't just a house. It was a sprawling haven with a pool, waterfall slide, and room for rescue animals like mini-horses and alpacas. Paul's soft spot shining through his tough exterior. Listed at $2.9 million, it sold for a measly $1.65 million, barely denting the $1.5 million mortgage. Court filings from his 2018 Chapter 13 bankruptcy laid it bare. $1.7 million owed to 50 creditors, $151,000 in back taxes, and a desperate $871,000 still hanging over the estate. Buckle up, because this is just the start of Paul's wild unraveling. Legal storms were brewing too, and one misstep over a 2009 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 revved up the drama. JTM Motorsports, who'd tricked out the car, dragged Paul to court in 2019, claiming he'd promised TV promo that never aired. They'd sunk $24,000 into parts, $26,000 into labor, and $10,000 into storage, only to get stiffed. A $30,000 settlement was ordered, but Paul fumbled the escrow release, landing him in contempt of court. It wasn't just a slap on the wrist. It was a neon sign flashing his cash chaos. Then, 2020 hit like a sledgehammer. The original OCC headquarters in Newburgh, New York, a 92,000-square-foot titan built for $13 million in 2008, shuttered for good. Once a pilgrimage spot for fans, it crumbled after the 2008 crash slashed custom bike demand. Paul had dodged foreclosure in 2011 by leasing it back, but the pandemic froze supply chains and tanked sales. By March 2020, the dream was dust, proof even icons can stall out. But here's the hook that'll jolt you. Paul didn't quit. In 2021, he hit the gas, relocating to Florida with a $7 million gamble, the OCC Roadhouse and Museum near Clearwater. Teaming with Keith Overton, he planted it on 9.5 acres next to Bert's Barracuda Harley-Davidson, a slick spot with a 370-seat restaurant, live music vibes, and a museum showcasing gems like the September 11th tribute bike. Florida's endless summer and biker buzz made it a no-brainer, a lifeline to reignite his spark. Bankruptcy, foreclosure, lawsuits. They'd bruised him, but not broken him. This wasn't a retreat. It was a reboot, a middle finger to the mess he'd left behind. Could this be the comeback we've all been waiting for? Paul's financial arc is a roller coaster worth dissecting. From a net worth peaking at $10 million during American Chopper's heyday, fueled by TV, merch, and NASA collabs, it crashed to $500,000 post-2018. Future projections? If the Roadhouse hums, he could claw back toward $2 to $3 million. His real estate empire once boasted that Montgomery gem, bought in New York's steel days, and now pivots to Florida's promise. Luxury cars? The Harley Superglide's his ride or die, with a Dodge Viper flexing muscle. Watches? Rugged, no-nonsense timepieces, Paul's style in a nutshell. No jets, but OCC's brand was his wings. Insurance covering health, assets, and career kept it aloft. Lesson? Spend bold. Save smarter. Paul's highs taught him lows hit hard. Family ties added fuel to the fire. After a decade of silence, Paul and Paul Jr. patched things up in 2018. Not a full-throttle reunion, but a quiet truce. Work was off the table. The scars from their TV blowouts ran too deep. Joan Bulger Kay, now OCC's CEO, took the reins, letting Paul focus on wrenching, the heart of his hustle. New York's chaos faded as Florida offered peace, a rare calm for a guy who'd lived loud. Compare that to Richard Rawlings, still licking wounds from his $6 million lawsuit and ex-wife saga. Both ruled their realms, Paul with choppers, Richard with hot rods, raking in millions at their peak. Now, Paul's rebuilding, Richard's confessing. Their pasts scream glory. Their presents demand grit. Who's got the edge in this race? Paul's journey is a masterclass in defiance. From Yonkers grit to TV gold, he built an empire, watched it wobble, and still swung back. The foreclosure stung, the HQ loss hurt, but Florida's his Phoenix moment, proof he's got fight left. His net worth's a shadow of its former self, yet the Roadhouse whispers potential. Investments? OCC's his baby, with past stakes in TV and merch showing savvy. Insurance, health for the grind, assets for the toys, kept him covered. Financial wisdom? Diversify, but don't drown. Paul's learned the hard way. What's your call? Can he ride this wave to redemption? Hit the comments. This legend's tale isn't over. It's just shifting gears.